What's up, guys? It's Remove Ryan. Today we're going to be doing a review of Stalcraft. Just a little disclaimer before we start. I'm only about in the mid tier. I've maxed leveled both Photon 2 and the Boathouse, and I'm in the bar currently, which I would say is probably about midway through everything. So just a little disclaimer that I'm not in the end game yet, so that won't really be a part of this review. This is more of a, I guess, a first impression kind of thing. So let's get into it. So before we dive into the main part of the review, you may be asking, what exactly is Stalcraft? Well, Stalcraft is an open world MMORPG FPS in a stalker adjacent universe where you either pick to start as a bandit or a loner. You start in the swamp and slowly progress north as you upgrade your gear with resources found as you explore and do missions. The game does have a story you go through as you play, and you will see fan favorite locations from the Stalker series, such as there's the army warehouses, Lamance, Corden, Garbage, all that. Now, with that all out of the way, I want to start with the actual review of the game, starting with the positives. So firstly, the graphics. Personally, I love the kind of Minecraft style graphics it has going on, and I think it adds a lot of style to the game. But the graphics can be hit or miss with some people. You could either love it or you could hate it. So at the end of the day, it's really up to your preference, but it does allow for the game to run better because of the graphics are less demanding. Next, just being set in the Stalker universe is just a big plus for me because there's no Stalker MMORPG like this that has the same quality and the same scope with the same kind of map, all the mutants from the game, anomalies, and all that kind of good stuff. Also, the gun mechanics. They're simple, but that's fine. The guns feel satisfying to shoot, and the animations aren't bad on the weapons. Some of them, they can be hit or miss, like the Mosin and other bolt actions. But there is an animation overhaul that I've heard that is coming down the pipeline, which will fix, I'm guessing, a lot of the issues, and also how the stalkers kind of run around like little Minecraft Steve characters. But my one gripe with the weapons is that the sounds for them are not very good. They're not the worst I've ever heard, but they could definitely be improved. Another big plus is the game is getting regular updates that add a lot of new content. Like the newest Blizzard update, there's kind of a raid style thing going on where you defend waves or you can play as the mutants, which is cool. And it also has a lot of exclusive gear, which is something to grind towards when you're in the late game. The game also has a very fun gameplay loop similar to Stalker's gameplay loop with MMO elements added, such as you can group your friends and raids in quotes with the new Blizzard update, which I just talked about. Just basically, you go out, you loot, you come back to base, you drop it off, and it goes a lot more in depth in crafting, which I do like as well. It really makes your resources worth something when you go out and grind them up. Another thing I really love in this game is the faction-based PvP, which is where this game really shines. You start as either a bandit or a loner. Then once you get far enough along in the game, you can choose between two different factions depending on which starting faction you picked, which for the bandits would be Mercs or Covenant, and the loners get to choose from Duty or Freedom. With that, they also have special rewards that are exclusive to those factions, so you want to pick your faction carefully. And finally, you don't lose major gear on death, which is huge. Which your major gear would be your suit, your weapons, your knife, and other gear there would be a little check or little lock in the top left of the gear's icon, or when you hover over it, it'll say bound. There's also a lost backpack system where when you die, certain resources like the mats you use to craft will be put in this lost bag, and then the person who killed you can have the choice. They can either leave it on there, pick it up. If they pick it up, they can either sell it to the fence. They can auction it off, which you would have. It's basically auctioning it off to you. Typically, I've never had it. I've had it, and it's usually around 1,000 to 1,500 rubles, which isn't bad. Or they can just send it back to you in the mail, which is what I do because it's just a good thing to do. Just send them back. Or I mean, it's easy. You don't even have to do that. Just leave it on the body. I guarantee they'll come back for it. Now, on to the negatives of the game. First, camping. It's not been as big of a problem with the new update to Swamp and other areas, and with more updates in the future for the maps being planned. but it still does happen where players will camp faction bases, especially duty. I've been hearing that they've been getting absolutely just shit on. Or high traffic areas where people commonly travel, like garbage, where I had a guy sitting on a hill sniping down into where the bandits leave and exit or enter and exit garbage. Managed to kill him somehow. Or popular quest areas for the opposite faction, which this can be annoying if you have a bunch of resources that you've been farming for 30 minutes, and then on your way out of garbage you get shot by some random on a hill with like expanding ammo and a sniper rifle. So it can definitely be a feels bad moment. Next, it can be a running sim at times, which it is to be expected with a stalker game like this, but it can be a real pain when you ran 800 meters then just to die to that same player, or you ran 800 meters to just randomly walk into an anomaly, which, I mean, after the first couple times, not that bad, but after you've done it for the 5th, 10th time, it can really wear down on you. The black hole anomalies can also be quite annoying at times. They're really hard to see during the day and even harder to see at night, and it is a guaranteed death if you step into them. But unlike the vortex anomalies, which you can get out of, your items do not get put into the backpack like they normally would when you die. They get splattered out like all around where the black hole anomaly is, which, I mean, it wouldn't be a problem, but it also leads to I've seen the items randomly despawning on the ground. Like I'd be killed by it, I come back, I find some of my stuff, but other stuff would be gone, which you could say, oh, it was a player that looted it, but I don't think I had artifacts that were still on the ground, so I don't think the player would just leave artifacts. And just like in Stalker, some of the AI are just absolutely cracked out of their minds, shooting you through bushes and laser beaming you from 100 meters away. The laser beaming is mainly just the NATO AI, which are the tougher AI, but all the AI do shoot through bushes, and sometimes the other AI can get a little laser beamy, but usually they're fine. Also, some models are just like, what the fuck? It's mainly the faces of stalkers and pseudo dogs, which are just an affront to God with how they look. It's just, oh my God, they look just like something else. There can be a lot of feel bad moments where you're grinding for resources for 30 minutes or something. You end up getting killed by a player or an anomaly, be it a camper or a black hole, whatever you want to die from. But it can get especially bad in northern areas where PvP is a lot more prevalent and resources are a lot more scarce and you need a lot more. And finally, the audio. I already talked a bit about it with the gun sounds not being the best, but there's also footsteps, which all sound the same. It doesn't matter if it's a rodent or a student giant or a stalker. All the footsteps sound the same, which it can lead to some scary moments, and it might kind of desensitize you to footsteps, and there could be like a stalker running up on you like, oh, it's just a rodent or something, or just a mutant. So it can end up causing some feel bad moments with that, so I hope that gets fixed soon. Now, with all that said, I like the game. I think it has a lot of potential, and it's already in a pretty good spot with its dedicated player base. It does need some improvements, that is true, but it is not a bad game in the slightest. I have played a lot of worse games than this, and this is definitely not one of the worst games I've ever played. Overall, if you like Stalker, I'd recommend you play this game. If you like open world MMOs and like the FPS style, I recommend you try this game out. If I had to rate the game, I would give it a 7 out of 10 right now. But if they went with some of these improvements and with the like incoming animation updates and all that, I could definitely jump up to an 8 or 9 at a future date. And with that, thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, please give a like and leave a comment with your thoughts on the game. Thank you.
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Hell to the no, hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell